Van Lathan's The Red Pill, where we give you the brutal reality of truth. Today's guest, Affion Crockett, comedian, actor, dancer, rapper, and man of God. He is going to tell me all about the church experience. Now, I had Natalie Emmanuel Lee on here, and she spoke to me. She is a very anointed, beautiful soul. And we talked a little bit about why sometimes it's hard for me to go to church. Affion, who I've known for a long time, heard that and wanted to give me some knowledge, give me a download on what the ritual of church means to him in the grand scheme of religion, and also what it means to him personally, and why I might be, in his opinion, maybe a little too fixated on what I think it means to actually be a church-going member of the Christian community. Very interesting talk to a man who is incredibly deep and spiritual, but who has sort of moved away from the ritual of church itself. It answers a question about, at this particular point, whether or not we need church. This is for all of my people who have spirituality in their life, don't care what religion you are. Do you need that place to go and fellowship and talk, and potentially you're supposed to grow there, but is it still that place? Or is it a place of judgment and condemnation and pressure? This is the debate that I've had. These are the talks that I have with a lot of different people of faith and a lot of different people who are trying to find God, whatever God that is that they're trying to find. And that's the discussion that Affion and I have today, and it is a very riveting discussion. Now, before we get to that, the NBA awards were last night, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak, who is actually the African freak, won the MVP. He beat out James Harden, and he beat out Paul George, who, it's an interesting MVP finalist right there. Paul George had a fantastic season, but would you think this season, you don't really think Paul George for MVP? I don't know why that is. But give it up for Greek Freak. Maddie, clap for Greek Freak, man. He won the MVP. It's very important. But something happened last night, and it happened last week at the draft, that is a pleasant surprise to me, and I think is a trend and shows a real sort of trajectory into where we are right now. The Greek Freak cried almost the entire time when he won his award. He cried. Last week, Zion Williamson cried. R.J. Barrett cried. These men were overcome with emotion, and they felt that it was okay to let it out. And not even that they felt it was okay to let it out. It was natural for them to let it out. A couple of years ago, I remember it was Kevin Durant that was up on the MVP stage, and he won his MVP. He talked about his mother, and he let the tears go. I'm almost getting choked up thinking about KD's acceptance speech. It was such a moving moment. This is very important. I've had Jason Wilson on here from the Cave of Adullam up in Detroit, who, by the way, the Cave of Adullam, they got their building now. Now they have a home to teach these young black boys self-defense and positive conflict resolution. Just give it up for the Cave of Adullam. We got to call Jason and say, Maddie, clap for the, why you ain't clapping for black people today, Maddie? That's weird. But this is very important. Me and Jason talked about men being in touch with their emotions, coming to terms with coming to terms with masculinity, redefining masculinity, and getting out some of the negative sort of connotations and behaviors surrounded by the old masculinity that we used to sort of chase and achieve, or chase and try to achieve. I remember specifically a story. It's a story when I was a younger man, and Reggie Bush won his Heisman Trophy. A Heisman Trophy that now the Heisman people have decided somehow in a way doesn't exist anymore. The nigga was super fast, and nobody could tackle him, but because, he had a nice car, he's not the Heisman winner anymore. These people are wild to me. Anyway, when Reggie Bush won his Heisman, he cried. He cried talking about his mother and the man who raised him. He cried, okay? I remember sitting down with a friend of mine, and it was a funny moment that me and my boy Ryan always talk about because this guy couldn't pronounce Matt Leinart's name. He said, man, I can't believe that nigga Reggie Bush was up there crying because he won some kind of statue. That nigga Matt Lionheart didn't cry. That nigga Matt Lionheart won his Heisman like a G. Nigga Reggie Bush up there crying, man. That's what made me respect that nigga Matt Lionheart even more. And so I'm pausing the game. I'm looking at this dude who was a homie of mine too. I'm like, first of all, motherfucker is Leinert. That's the first thing. And then secondly, so what that he cried? He just achieved something. There are literally maybe, 60 or 75 Heisman winners ever? Something like that, some number. And he's one of them. It's a dream that he chased his entire life. He finally ran it down. How could you not cry? And just the internal battle, and just the battle between me and my boy in that situation, who's a good dude, man, over tears. Something as meaningless or meaningful, depending on how you look at it, tears. And how we were holding on to a notion that tears in some way were indicative of how much of a man you were. So the moment that some tears fall from your eyes, you can't be that much of a man. You're something less than. Now think about all the things that stops you from crying about. Your homeboy dies, you can't cry. Your mom passes away, you can't cry. Your son takes his first steps. Your daughter takes her first steps, you can't cry. You're in pain, physical pain, you can't cry. You watching Brian's song. At the end of it, you're moved. You want to cry, you can't cry. Just think about that. Think about a lifetime of having a genuine emotion, a genuine reaction inside of you, and you suppress it. What does that do to you? What does it do to your brain? I had a ridiculous panic attack yesterday. And like a really, really bad one, right? One of those like classically, yo, is this actually the last time I'm going to be on earth? And after this panic attack, I'm just sitting in my car, boom. Just had somebody walk by and knock on the door and go, yo, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm just having a cry session here so I can recalibrate my brain. Yo, these young kids got it right. Wherever you at, be who you are in that moment. You achieve something, cry about it, man. You feel sad, cry about it. You feel joyous, cry about it. And if you think Zion Williamson is less of a man, try to take a charge from him. Actually, don't. Don't try to take a charge for him. Hope that he jumps over you because you don't want all of that. Manhood doesn't have anything to do with tears, man. Manhood doesn't have anything to do with sexual preference, orientation. Manhood has to do with who you're accountable to, who you're empowering, who can look you in the eyes and be safe and protected and fulfilled because of you. That's what manhood is. That's what it is. Manhood is about duty to your community, honor to your family, and a sense of, I don't know, being in tune with the people around you who might need you. That's what manhood is. That's what our fathers wanted to be. Because they wanted to cry. And sometimes they probably did. So I would like to say to Giannis, to KD, to RJ Barrett, to Zion Williamson, thank you. Thank you for showing a generation of boys that it's okay to be vulnerable. That it's completely okay to show the world that you too are a human being and not some mythical mystic figure that never has an emotion. Remember, I didn't say never has a weak moment, because crying is not a weak moment. It's just a moment. All right. Affion Crockett's here. We're talking church. We're talking hip hop. I didn't ask him to dance, although I should have. Only one impression. It wasn't about the impressions, but it was still funny. Pop some pills. Let's get to it. White people in the room, clap for Affion Crockett.
Thank you, white people.
Let me tell you, this is a very talented, very important brother. I'll tell you why.
Shit, tell me why.
Consistency and longevity, my brother.
I'll take it.
These things are very, very important.
I'll take it.
I've been seeing your face since back when I didn't even know that I wanted to move to Los Angeles. So it's been a long, long time you've been doing your thing, man.
Yeah, man. It's a blessing to be here and to still be here. You know what I mean?
All right. As vibrant and relevant as ever. Now, we were talking about you moving out to the Valley.
Right.
Like, people don't understand the difference in the LA scene in terms of the Valley and across the 101, but a lot of people move to the Valley now. Like, you never wanted to do the Beverly Hills, West Hollywood thing?
Nah. I mean, Beverly Hills, you know, if I got that kind of bread, then I'll splurge on a $30 million house, but I haven't struck oil yet. You know what I mean? So, West Hollywood is too congested. Like, I don't like places in LA where people can't park if they want to come visit me, or it's like, you know, zoned out signs and all that. Like,
you don't like that many places in LA then. The parking is ridiculous.
But the Valley, the parking in the Valley is pretty sweet.
That really?
Yeah. Where do you live? What part of town?
I live in downtown LA.
That's your problem. That's downtown LA is the worst.
Yeah.
Outside of West Hollywood, you know what I mean? Downtown is so many signs. Like, you could park. Like, most places in LA, Sunday you get free.
Right.
Like, they observe everyone's Lord.
Right.
And they give you free parking. Downtown LA, no Lord.
No Lord.
You paying every day.
Atheist parking.
All day.
In downtown
every day.
LA.
Every single day. And then you can park here from 1:30 to 1:36. And then you can't get towed at 1:37. Like, it's just so many different signs. So.
You know what's funny is we're having this conversation. There's people from other parts of the country, and they're like, why are these niggas talking about parking for so long? And I remember when I was first coming out here, my boy Tommy, who I stayed with for about 6 weeks before I moved to LA, he told me, he was like, listen, well, this is when I come home, me and Barb, his wife, Barb, so you know they white. He's he's like, we switch up in how she's gonna park here, and then I'm gonna park here, and then I'll go move the car so that she doesn't have to find street parking. And I was thinking to myself, yo, all of this over where y'all gonna park the cars? Why don't you just park the car? Right, and then you get here, and you realize just how much parking influences your life in Los Angeles. It's a big thing, bro.
It influences if you're going out to an event that you've been invited to. It influences, you know, going on a date.
Yep.
And like, I try to choose places that have free parking or close parking. I really do. Like, I don't want to pay valet $18. I don't want to pay whatever, like parking structure parking. Like, give me a restaurant that has a lot.
Yeah, that's tough.
Like, Sunset Plaza is beautiful.
Right. That is true.
Although it's levels of parking.
It is levels of parking. But also is like, we got to get off this. I have so much to say about parking. I won't be able to talk to this brother about anything else.
Yeah, fuck parking.
Yeah, fuck parking. We offer this fucking parking thing because we could talk about that all day. I do want to say this though. I was in a $30 million a house a couple of days ago.
Oh, I was in a few of them. Don't own any.
Right.
So what house was you in? And why?
Went to a party. Following the movie premiere.
Was there cocaine?
No cocaine. These are great people. These were such amazing, great. Not that it means that you're a bad person if you do cocaine. That you're
not at all. No.
But amazing people. Went to a movie premiere. Went after premiere. Went to the home of the filmmaker, and a $30 million house in Beverly Hills is a $30 million house in Beverly Hills. It was fucking ridiculous.
It looked like a mall.
Oh my God, bro! It looked like it was a Bond villain. Like, I expected a hairless cat to run out there. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a whole thing, and you think that's a lot of wealth, man.
Yeah.
Do you have, in your career, you've done so much, do you still have designs? Do you have designs on that type of wealth?
Hell yeah.
You want to be super filthy rich?
I don't want to be that, because I feel like you detach from life, and at some point you can't spend it all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just have a mentality of, and some people would call it socialism. I call it my pre-philanthropist mind. I feel like to have 9 yachts and yet there's homeless tents all around town. I feel like there should be a little more balance.
Yeah,
That's
true.
all. That's my own opinion.
But no, you know what's funny about that? Like, I live downtown, and when I'm getting to where I live, every single day of the week, every day, I drive right down 6th Street, right through Skid Row. Every single day. And in the Arts District, it's literally 3 blocks away. It's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, it's 5 minutes if you're running, because I jog. If in a car, it's not even that. And in the Arts District is perfectly clean.
It's beautiful.
Perfectly beautiful.
Yeah.
All of that, nice restaurants, all of that. And then literally 3 blocks over, there's a tent city.
Bro.
And you wonder, what type of situation are we living in that where those two things can exist in such close proximity to one another?
Exactly. I think there's, to have that type of wealth, to be able to own a $30 million house. And again, I'm not trying to say.
Oh, and by the way, these are the nicest people these are some of the nicest people. So
I'm just talking about me.
Right. You wouldn't want the $30
I
million.
would, if I had that type of wealth, I would do more philanthropy towards the homeless and purchasing a hotel and turn that into some type of, boarding house, or, a house where they can have help and get health care in that community and get their life turned around. Right. You know what I mean?
That gets us to what we're talking about. There's a specific reason why you reached out, and why, well, not you reached out, we had been in conversation.
Yeah, we've been in conversation. I always say this when we talk. You and I have been organic with each other. In Hollywood, you know how it is. It's motherfuckers trying to come up in some kind of way. Right. Like, I want to be on your next show, or what can you do for me? Can you give me tickets to a concert? Whatever the fuck it is. Right. You and I have seen each other at the most random places. Yeah. Boxing matches, a mutual friend's wedding. Yeah. And it was just cool.
It's always love.
And then I saw you, I was watching your podcast, which I wanted to be on the podcast because most interviews that I do as a comedian, they always want me to be funny, or they go for the little pun, or the clickbait type of headline, me talking shit about somebody, doing an impression of somebody. You get to the grit of real conversation, and that's why I respected it, and I wanted to come down and just have a conversation with you. When I saw you talk to D-Ray, right, specifically, and D-Ray's my brother, and I loved how real he was, right, and how much of a platform he was able to have just to talk about everything from his relationships to where he ranks himself in comedians and all of that. Then I saw you talking to Natalie. Yeah. Natalie Manuel.
Beautiful soul.
Yeah, that's fam. And then I heard your church story and your dilemma and your struggle internally with feeling good enough to be in church or to serve God or whatever. Yeah. And when I heard you talking, I said, he sounds like me when I first got saved.
Tell me about that.
When I first,
you've been first of all, take people back throughout your career, like what it is, how things blew for you, and then lead that into the fame and how, because all of that matters, right?
For sure.
All of that matters. I mean, you don't have to go through your entire life history, but just tell people about your personal journey with that, but also just,
Yeah. So my journey started just from watching TV, watching all the greats, Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence, the whole Wayans family and Living Color, Jim Carrey, SNL, Chris Farley, just watching that and saying, man, I wish I could do that. Right. And having the opportunity when Def Comedy Jam was a real, that was, one of the other pillars in black comedy for one. When I saw that and I got on the show, that began my journey. It began my entertainment journey, but around that same time, I had just got saved. So I'm gonna tell parallel stories here, right? Personally, I grew up Catholic. My mom is from Trinidad and Tobago, so that's the religion of choice there. At some point, I just didn't get it. Right. It was a bunch of stories about, and the Lord said to the disciples.
You didn't get Christianity or Catholicism?
I didn't get anything. Right. I didn't get the purpose of going to church, like the connection that you're supposed to have with, feeding your soul and your spirit. I just didn't get it. I was bored. I was sitting in the church and I just heard people saying, right. We standing and we sitting and we kneeling, and I just did not get it. And so at one point in my teens, I didn't even believe in God because I didn't even know who he was. I didn't know anything about it. So I left the church. for like 3 years and broke my mom's heart and whatever. Then I met my biological father, and he was a born-again Christian. And when I first went to visit him, he was
How old were you when you met your biological father?
17.
Okay. For the first time?
First time ever meeting him.
Wow.
And I went to visit him, and he was like, well, out of respect for the household, when you come to visit us, we're going to go to church on Sunday morning. I'm like, here we go again with this, this church thing. People forcing church on me.
Right.
And so I started going to church with him. And for the first time, I started to now hear a preacher who didn't know me. And he would say things that was directly connected to my life. And I'm like, this motherfucker doesn't know me.
Yeah.
How is he so accurate every week? And this went on for like 2 months. And so finally, I was just like, okay, it doesn't take me long to realize this guy's not psychic. He's not a magician. All right, God, you are real. Maybe you're trying to talk to me because these messages are so dialed in.
Right.
And so I got saved, but at the time I didn't understand what it meant to get saved. I didn't understand what it meant to be a Christian. So having entertainment aspirations, yet being in this church world where they're saying entertainment is the devil's business. And
entertainment saying that the church stuff is corny and plain and it'll stop you from being out there the way you need to be. You get two different messages. The church is telling you that Hollywood is evil, and Hollywood is telling you that the church is backwards.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm literally walking the tightrope between, I felt like I was living a double life. So when I would be in church, and that's when I started to feel how you say you feel or felt.
Right.
I would be in church trying to impress these Christian people who I see catching the Holy Spirit and falling out and speaking in tongues and doing all of that stuff. And it was a great show.
Right.
Until I learned that they were really fucked up people. And all of that Holy Ghost and falling out, I started to put two and two together. I was like, wait a second, there's a homeless guy right outside this building. Right. So we're in the building and you're saying the power of God just fell on this place. If the power of God, who's the biggest
omnipotent,
reachable, if the power of actual God fell on this building and all these people are falling out, why is the homeless man still sick and he just sleeping? He chilling. Right outside the building. It didn't make sense to me. Or even like the sound man, like they have soundboards and stuff and they'll hire independent companies to come in and work the sound. I would look at that too and say, well, the sound dude, he ain't fall out. He's just calmly moving them buttons. Sliding. He ain't fall out. So part of me started to say, this shit is a show.
Right.
This is a show and they're not really representing God.
Right.
But for years, bro, I judged myself and felt uncomfortable until when I moved to LA, I started going to what we would call one of the Hollywood churches.
Yes.
The big fame churches, sure. TV,
A lot of them out here.
A lot of them. Yeah. You got security guards and, big offerings. But God told me, he said, you came out to LA for a reason. Don't get in this church and lose yourself. He said, so go in your hip hop gear, go in your jean jacket, go with your hat to the back, go with your shorts. He said, don't start putting on no suit. And I distinctly recall feeling that and hearing that from God. And sure enough, it was the thing that made people who like deacons and ushers, they would pull me aside and be like, yeah, man, I relate to what you're doing, man. I'm more like you. Like, I'm just wearing this suit because we in church. You know what I'm saying? But, I like Jay-Z too. I like rap. I like to dance. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they would be trying to relate to me because they felt like they were in bondage. And my freedom of being myself, and then at the time I started to work a little more, so they knew my face.
Right.
So they would sit me in the front row in my jeans and shorts and next to everybody in suits. So I was in my hip hop gear, I was still respected as the people in the suits. And then at some point I started doing a youth show, like a ministry show, but it was ministry, but in my vernacular.
Right.
I was able to talk to them. It was kind of like me doing stand-up, but in a way that was very relevant to the church.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then we had like talent show, like it was like Showtime at the Apollo, but at the Palladium.
Right.
For the church. So I say all that to say, I had to learn that no one has it figured out. And you just have to be who you are. And the judgment that I feel that you feel is because you've listened to or you've watched church people just act perfect.
Yeah.
That's literally as simple as that. What you're feeling is because you were taught what Christianity is in the wrong way, and people fronted for you. Church is the original Instagram. It's the original filter. It's the filter life. Everybody is fronting. It ain't really what you see. All them suits, all them dresses, all them fancy hats, the cologne, the perfume, the speaking in tongues. It's not real. I'm not saying everybody,
Right.
but it's if you feel condemned by it and they don't bring you in with love and just say, oh, don't worry about my suit. Like I wear the suit because I like suits, but you cool with the camouflage shirt on.
Yeah.
Come on in, Van. Come as you are.
Right.
That's what the Spirit should say. If it's always a finger wag and you need to be doing this and God is saying that you need to be, well, God says that I should hear his voice for myself. So why are you telling me what God is saying when I have God in my spirit also? Right. And we're two different people. So why is the word that he's giving you, why are you trying to project it onto me? So you got to realize that people in church take their own fears and their own limitations and they try to project it onto you because they want to see you do what they're doing in a limited way. They feel better about themselves if they can limit you.
See, everything that you're saying, it strikes a chord. I think sometimes what I struggle with is that, so in every aspect of my life, I try to set standards, right?
Right.
So I'm always as good as I can be at something. So I get obsessed about different things because if I decide that I'm going to do something, I normally put the requisite time in to be proficient at it, right? So when I think about Christianity or when I think about being a follower or servant of God, I think about a standard. And the reason why I think about a standard is because the way I've always understood it, I'm from Louisiana.
Right.
The way I've always understood it is that there's a life that you have to lead that has to be exemplary of what salvation means to someone, right? Because if you're going to be, we're talking about the greatest stakes in the world. And there's so many smaller things that we discuss every single day. But when we talk about what God has designed for the world, we're talking about life and death, eternity and damnation, but more importantly, grace and love, which people search for their entire lives and some of them never get it.
Right.
Some people live entire existences without grace and love, right? And they don't understand it, they don't have it, they don't get it. And my dad would say something. And my dad would say, the way that you show that you love God is through discipline. God is asking you for fellowship. He's hoping that you will fellowship with him. And in the hope that you will fellowship, he's asking you not to do a couple of things. I remember my dad told me, have you ever told a small lie? And I'm like, yeah, sure. He would go, at the moment that you told that lie, you chose that lie over God. And man, when you hear stuff like that, when you're like 5 or 6 years old, it makes you really take a step back from the entire thing because I go, how in the world could you ever choose anything over God? You could, how in the world could you ever choose anything over God, but we do it every single day. And I understand repentance, and I know that we're all broken and nobody's perfect. But I start to think, whereas I remember I was working with a trainer, and we're training basketball and we're doing all of these things, and I see these guys come in and they start jumping and they dunking. And I look at the trainer and I say, yo, am I ever gonna be able to do that off 2 feet like they're doing it? And he says, no, I can't make you dunk like them, but I can make you better at it. So my whole life is not a search for perfection. It's a search to get better at something, right? I just want to be better at the things that I'm doing. But sometimes it seems like the stakes are so high here that either you're in it or you're not.
Well, in listening to what you just said, hopefully I can help in this way.
Sure.
Because I do want to, not that I need to help you, right?
Oh, we all could use some help, brother.
But I do want to just paint a different picture
Sure.
so that you can maybe see it a different way. First, the thing you said, I respect the reverence that you have for your dad. So, and I understand how that could be.
I understand now.
How that can get in you.
He also once told me, quick story, I was ironing. I'm sure I've told this story on the podcast before. I'm ironing with an iron. I'm trying to help my mom. I'm trying to iron so she doesn't have to iron. But I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing this. Iron falls on the carpet, burns an iron print into the carpet. My dad comes in, he sees the iron print in the carpet, he says, what happened? And I said, I was just trying to iron to help mom, thinking that there will be some sort of, oh, son, it's okay. You're just trying to help your mother. You made a mistake. He goes, you know what that is? I was like, what? He says, that's Satan's hoof print. I remember now, I'm 8 years old. And he says, you ain't here doing some shit you ain't supposed to be doing. And that was the devil that made you pick up that iron. And you know you all fucked up. And so it's not like we have money to go get that fixed. So imagine playing Nintendo and you look over and every time you try to relax in your room, you see the footprint of the devil right there.
That's a lot to take in. I will take the journey with you on that.
So my pops is very, he wants to raise good people.
No disrespect, but your pops is extreme as fuck. Those two stories, yes. The first one, I was just like, okay, the small lie, I understand it. And I had a good analogy I was going to give you to make it all better. But when you went to the devil's hook, I was like, okay, your dad is a motherfucker.
Yeah, he is.
He is.
He is.
He's extreme.
Yeah.
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 So you gonna need therapy for that one.
Okay.
I can't undo what your pops did, but
love him to death. He's a good man.
Of course. But look, when it comes to small lies, first of all, the hoof print. Your dad didn't choose love in that moment. He didn't choose to see that you were. It's not that you weren't supposed to be doing that. You were acting out of love to help your mom.
Yeah.
God would honor that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The small lie situation. Let's say you're in a relationship, right? Your girl is your priority. She wants you to come home. You tell her after work you're coming straight home to her, right? You stop off at a bookstore because you really want to read this caption in this book that really does something for you. Yeah. But you don't mention it to her. Because it's just something about you. You feel maybe embarrassed that maybe she looks at you like a nerd or whatever. Right. And you just don't tell her about stopping.
Or you're prideful. You don't feel like you don't want to be checking in or whatever it is.
Facts.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a big deal. Is that a white lie? Is that something that violated your relationship? I think not. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and then going back to what you said about the standard that you feel like you have to live up to be a Christian, right? Understand, and look, I'm not a Bible scholar by any means, but the way I understand Christ and his example was when he was walking the earth and he was here and he was trying to tell people, look, I'm God. I'm the son of God. Through me is how you get saved and eternal salvation and the whole nine. But he did that with love. He did that with relatability. It was the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the church people, who were trying to put the rules and the standards on him. You can't heal people on a Thursday. It's Throwback Thursday. You can't be healing on a Thursday. It's TBT. Right. What are you doing? Yeah. And he's like, I'm the son of God. I can do what I want. Right. But it's not about the rules. It's not about the standards. Y'all serve me. Who are you to tell me? Right. He would go and hang out with the tax collectors and the sinners at the party, at the club. Jesus was at the club. Jesus was at the club. Right. He was at Sayers.
Are you saying Jesus is D. Ray Davis?
Jesus is D. Ray, who actually did play Jesus in a sketch we wrote on MTV. Yes.
Yeah, I get it.
He and when they questioned him when he was they said, why are you hanging out with these people? And he said, I didn't come to heal the healed. I came to heal the sick. So you're just a product of a lot of standards and ideals that were taught to you erroneously.
Why do you feel like people feel so far away?
What do you mean?
I feel like there's a lot of people that when you see people lash out against the church, it comes from an internal feeling that it's something either artificial or
everyone's insecure.
Unattainable. Yeah.
Everyone is insecure and they put on a mask to front like they know it all. Here's how I describe church. Church to me is like if someone got shot and they went to the emergency room and they walk in, they see all these doctors with the white coats, and you are looking at these guys and women with the white coats to help you get over your injury and heal you, right? Instead of taking you in and doing surgery and acknowledging, oh, you got shot, let me have compassion on you, let me do my job and do what I know to do to help you heal. What the church does, you come in wounded with this bullet wound, they'll say, don't come in here with that. Don't be bleeding all over this floor. Put on this white coat and pretend like you're one of us and look more like us. Put this white coat on and act like you have it all together. Don't act like you're wounded. So if you come into a church addicted to porn, if you used to be a prostitute, a drug addict, whatever your thing is, church, even though the word says come as you are, the church people judge the shit out of you. You come in with dirty sneakers, they looking at you sideways. You come in with jeans on, they're looking at you sideways because you're supposed to have on a suit like us. So here you are, the bullet wound person in the hospital. You have on this white coat. The bullet wound is never healed. And now you're bleeding through the white coat. You have spots on the white coat.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're starting to show. And no one's doing anything to help you. That's my ideal of church. Like there's all these people walking around with these suits on and these dresses on, faking like they got it all together, like they're the physician, like they're the ultimate healer, and they're all broken and trying to project perfection onto you and other people, and it's bullshit.
Do you believe, what function, do you attend church now?
No. I attend Bible study every now and then. But
Bible study?
Yeah.
Now, what do you believe that there is a function that church serves?
I do. There is a fellowship to it, but I don't think that it has to be every week. I don't believe that at all. I believe people go to church every week. A lot of times it's to serve the business of the church. To get
Expound
them,
on that.
To get them offerings and tithes and all. Like they schedule church every week to get money. That's my belief. Because why would I go to church every Sunday and hear a dope message, right? I hear a great message on Sunday. When do I have time to act that out and to perfect what I just heard? When I'm going back a week later and hearing a whole nother message, and then a week after that, a whole nother message. When am I acting these messages out? When am I putting them into play? At what point do I actually make it practical to do the message that I heard the one Sunday? So for me, I feel like church is unconventional. Jesus didn't gather once a week or he did it as the anointing led him, and he traveled with it. You know what I mean? He wasn't in one building, one place all the time. So I just feel like church it's a business.
Do you feel like
nonprofit?
Do you feel like do you feel like church is working for Christianity right now? And what I mean is, not even just Christianity, but I feel like there is a gravitation towards a more secular way of life right now. And I think that has to do with a lot of people feeling, like I said before, a little alienated from things. There are people that, when you're around someone who really has an anointing on them,
right,
you feel a conviction. And like you feel, first of all, you feel their true anointing. That's the first thing. It's impossible not to feel it. When you're around just a good human being,
right,
you're like, man, this is a great person.
And
when you're around a person that's really in touch with their God, no matter which God it is that they serve, you're like, man, their skin looks clear. They seem so resolute and certain.
They get that Jesus moisturizer.
The whole deal. They seem, and that it's good to be around, but if you can't access it, it can be alienating.
Yeah, but that's why. And look, I'm not trying to come off like I'm bashing church.
I get it.
But what I am saying
we just talking, brother. Yeah.
I feel like it has more people feeling like you do than it does what people should be feeling.
How would you have religious people, spiritual people fellowship together? What would you say?
I would kick it. We can go to the beach, kick it around a fire. We could meet at the crib. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whenever we feel it, whenever we need it. Get on a group chat. Like let it be more relevant. I feel like tradition,
ritual
is locked into a certain time or an era. And I feel like it gets more and more irrelevant as time changes. Like we got cell phones that are renewed every 6 months, and there's a new phone. You know what I mean? Like society is speeding up and moving forward.
Right.
It's
less important for everyone to get together at a central location every single week or a couple of days. Because we say every week, but when I was growing up, it wasn't every week. It was Sunday, and then it was Wednesday for worship, and then it was a Bible study, and then you know what I mean?
It was all week.
Yeah, it was all week.
Yeah, it's too much, I believe.
Yeah,
and it's not organic; it's forced. So even if they say in the word the Sabbath day is for resting, but yet we go to church and be working all day. You're working.
Right.
Church is work. It ain't rest.
Yeah.
So if we really observe the Sabbath, everyone would stay home and fellowship with your family. So that's the thing. A lot of people are running behind the church and trying to please the church, and their own family is breaking up because you're not. You're trying to serve and do all of this for the man of God and the woman of God, and your son just wants you to play catch with him. Your daughter just wants you to watch her get ready for her ballet recital or whatever, her computer science test. She wants you to help her with that. I feel like we just, the church world is full of a lot of people that are chasing a presented carrot. And it keeps getting dangled and snatched away. And it's almost like there's a slight brainwashing in, all right, well, since you sinned all week, you got to pay some money to get rid of that sin.
Wow.
You gotta. That's what it is.
I'm saying. I'm asking. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I'm with you,
That's what it becomes. And again, not every church does it.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed in some of the more popular churches is like, if you want to receive this word, you got to sow into it. What? If you want this blessing on your life, you got to put money into this. What? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Or how dare you name a denomination? God is telling me that I need 8 people to give $1,000.
Yo, I love that though. That's so hilarious
what
to me.
In
like
name?
It's like that. I was in a church in Dallas, 1989. I never forget this. The guy walks out there and here's the organ. And I'm like, before I even get started tonight, God told me somebody got $100 bill in this audience, and them people lost their. My mom was like, "What?" Them people lost their minds digging to the bottom of their purses for $100. This was not a rich community. God told me somebody got $100 bill. Want me to put $100 bill up? Put it in the collection plate. I'm like, it's that easy?
Bro.
You know what I mean? And by the way, I'm not saying, listen, I don't know the rules. I know that the Bible is a book of prosperity. It's a book of upward mobility. It's a book that tries to give you the best life, and part of that is financial. I don't know the rules.
Part
of it's financial. I don't know the rules. But what I do know is that what's his face? The dude who bought Tyler Perry's jet. Did you see that?
No.
Was Maddie here? Did y'all see this? There's a preacher, and he bought Tyler Perry's jet. Jump on the computer for me real quick. Do you know how to work it?
Is it Creflo?
It's not Creflo. Shout out to Creflo.
Shout out to Creflo.
Creflo doing this thing. Nah, it's the you know the guy right away. And they called him. He was talking about buying Tyler Perry's jet. I think the jet was, I don't know, Kenneth Copeland.
Oh.
We're going to get back into a little bit more with Affion in a second, but right now, Nightmares Are Coming Home. A powerful, mysterious, and socially provocative film, Us, is the latest silver screen nightmare from Academy Award winner Jordan Peele. I said silver scream. It's screen, but it is a silver scream as well. The movie was frightening. Starring Oscar winner Lupita Nyong'o and Black Panther's Winston Duke, the homie, as an endearing American family pitted against a terrifying and uncanny opponent, themselves. Now you can experience Us at home and dive into revealing bonus features to untether the truth of Us. Available on digital now and on 4K Ultra HD, Blu-ray, and DVD on June 18th. Get it before your tethered gets any ideas. From Universal Pictures Home Entertainment. That is Us. Saw Us in the theater. It was fantastic. It was like church in there. So let's get back to Affion Crockett telling us why church is whack. I get that there's opulence and wealth and all different types of things. I just wonder, based upon some of the input that I get from people, what is the best way to make people feel spiritually whole? Like, what's the best way, right? If it was always taught to me that there needed to be a specific building where we could get in and all have tabs on one another and know who needed help and know how we can come together and how we can fellowship and evangelize and stuff like that. If that is not the church home, then what is that?
You saying what is that building? What is that meeting place?
No, what is that like?
Oh, you saying if we're not meeting there?
How do you get the word out?
Let me. I'll just use my example.
Okay.
2 weeks ago, I'm at the El Rey at a concert, right? Mm-hmm. And this drunk girl, she was a fan, but she was clearly drunk, and she was trying to get me to drink. She was like, "Why are you not drinking? Why you don't have a drink in your hand?" I was like, I don't drink. Mm-hmm. And we got into this long conversation about why I don't drink. Right. I saw alcoholism in my family, ruining my family's life. Right to this day, it still is a looming issue in my family's life. And she went into this story about how she lost her mom and little sister in a fire, and how she started drinking because of that. And I was just ministering to her. I was like, I'm sorry that you lost your mom and your sister, and you don't have to be like me. If you want to drink, you can drink. I said, just find what works for you. And if you want to drink less and that gives you more of a clear mind, then great. And she started crying. Like, she just was like, she felt what I was saying to her, and I was me ministering out of love. I didn't know this girl.
Right.
I had nothing to gain from talking to her. I just felt like that was the moment. I needed to talk. This weekend in Miami, I did a talk. We were talking about financial management. It was me on a panel talking about financial management in the industry, and I just started talking about God. And people in the room were ministered by my story. And so for me, it's wherever the Holy Ghost leads you to do it. It doesn't have to be in a set place all the time. Again, I'm not saying that set places aren't bad. I'm not against structure, because I live a very structured life.
Right.
But I feel like the church model as we know it today is less effective than it is effective. It's just the tradition of it. They're trying to hold more on to the tradition as to what it's really saying. Like,
now, when did you start to believe this? Because you get saved, you start going to church. At what point do you start seeing this isn't quite what I thought, or this isn't? What point did you adopt your current views on church? What do you?
It was over a collective of years. You know what I mean? But within the first year of the first church I was going to, this is back in North Carolina, and you start to just, the same people you see speaking in tongues and falling out and that you think have the power of God, and I felt inferior to so-and-so sleeping with this one's wife, who's sitting right next to them. This one has an illegitimate kid from this chick. Like, this one's a drug addict. This one's a this and a that. Which I don't judge any of that.
Sure.
If you're real about it and you're forthcoming about your struggles. But if you in here and when I first got there, they were always telling me, all of them was telling me how I need to be doing this and I need to be giving my heart to the Lord. And I'm a dancer. I remember one time one dude was telling me, "Oh man, you can't be dancing to that hip hop music, because the spirit of that hip hop music is making you do other things." And then I come to find out he was walking around telling girls, "God is telling me that your body is mine and that I need to put my hands on it and blessing it." And he was, before Me Too and all that, he was doing that in the church.
Right.
So I was like, man, these motherfuckers don't know what they talking about. They fronting.
Right.
I'ma just be me, because I feel like God made me a whole person, a loving person. And if I know in my heart of hearts, me creating art or me hanging out with the homies, if I know I'm not intentionally doing nothing crazy, I'm gonna live my life. And God honors that.
Right.
It's as simple as that. It don't have to be all rain coming down and the lightning and my hands are raised and there's violins and harps playing. It don't have to be all of that.
Right.
It just doesn't.
Is there any point in your life where you feel like your devotion to your spirituality has cost you anything professionally?
No.
I know you hear that a lot.
I can live with that. I can live with whatever choices I made to follow my spirituality. And for example, I get scripts all the time, and sometimes they deal in the supernatural and in something really demonic. I kindly just decline those.
Won't do it.
I won't do it.
Like the Conjuring, none of that.
Nah, because there's power. The power of life and death is in the tongue. So I do believe that we have whatever we say, whether it's good or bad. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Whatever you speak, you'll produce it. If you look at Genesis in the Bible, God spoke the world into existence. And whether you believe it as literal or parable, he spoke the world into existence. He said, let the skies and the waters join and let the birds of the air. He spoke all of that. He didn't put on a jumpsuit and work boots and gloves and go build the mountains and go build the oceans. He didn't do that. He spoke it. So I think he was giving us the example that you can literally speak your world into existence with your words. So I feel like if I'm taking on too many projects where my verbals is giving it up to the devil or spirituality or just whatever, something corrupt that my soul and my spirit doesn't feel is right for me, then I'm not going to do it. Not knocking anyone else that does it, but I got to do what's right for me.
I think of a specific case, Jim Caviezel. You know who he is?
Yeah.
So Jim Caviezel played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ and is very devout. And I remember working on a movie back in Baton Rouge. Jim Caviezel's been in a lot of other movies as well. He was played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ. He was in The Count of Monte Cristo. He was in Deja Vu.
He's done a lot of work.
He's done a lot of work. And I think he was just on one of those NCIS. No, it was like Numbers or something like that. He was at one point the star of the biggest movie in the world.
Yeah.
And so
Passion of the Christ.
Yeah. So the thing was, I remember even being back in Louisiana, and there were people out there. We were working on a movie. And they were like, his career's not going to go very far after that. It's like, why? And they said, Jesus freak. And I was like, what? It's like they said that Jim, for whatever reason, and I don't know him, I've never met him, but he would be on set trying to minister to people, talking about God, and that it was rubbing people the wrong way.
He thought he was Jesus.
Well,
he was a method actor.
Right.
He went in.
Right. And that and they were like, if you're going to be out there in Hollywood, it's very hard to be proud of being of loving God and be successful at the same time.
Right.
Have you found at all that that's been your experience?
No, because I don't force it on people. Though even the Bible says we are to be like a fragrance and not an odor. So,
you know your word, don't you? Like, yeah,
I'm
like
not
you,
a scholar.
like you.
I'm not a scholar, but I know what I know.
Right. Yeah.
Come on, man. So it's like this, right? If I come up to you and I stink, you're gonna be like, I don't want to be near him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I got a cologne on that, you're like, yo, what is that? I want to know what you have. Like, that's how Christianity should be. So if you see me in my demeanor and I feel my energy feels good, and you like, man, what is it about you that's different? Like you said, sometimes you're around certain people that have the anointing, and you want to know, like
you want what they got.
You want what they got. So I don't force nothing on anybody, and I try to just be relatable. That's it. What works for me, and I'm cool in my corner doing that. And it's not until like this conversation afforded itself, and you're open to it. Sure, we can have a conversation. I'm down to have a conversation with you, but I ain't here to force nobody into nothing. I got Muslim friends. I got Buddhist friends. Like, we good.
Yeah.
We are all good. I don't judge nobody. I don't, say that there's a wrong way or right way. Going back to the word, if you have not love, none of these gifts and accolades mean anything. You just got to have love in your heart and really, really, approach people with that.
And you don't, and like, was there ever a time where you got caught up? You out here, your face is on the TV. You're doing all of this stuff. You're having success. Was there ever a time where you lost it for a little while? You got caught up. You.
In what way?
I mean, just like from the Hollywood scene, you fell away. You slipped away from.
I mean, yeah. There's. I'm a man who has had access.
Right.
You know what I mean? And my struggle is women.
Right.
You know what I mean? Women and sweets. That's what I say. My vices are.
Well, women and sweets. Yeah.
Women and cupcakes. Yeah, but I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I've never done any of that.
Right.
It's just not my thing. And it's been offered to me, but I'm just like, nah, I'm good.
Right.
So, yeah, my version of getting caught up, most men would say that's kind of normal. You know, you just date a few women here and there, and that's my thing. But I've never strayed too far away from my path or from my sanity out here.
But even with the women, do you ever catch yourself and like, I'm wilding too much?
Oh, for sure. Son,
yeah, I'm
sure.
wilding too much. Like
it's
you,
like, yo.
like you in Toronto, it's banner weekend.
Man.
And it's like
and I'm half Trini too. It's
right, like you in Toronto, it's banner weekend, and you like, man, when I get back, I'm gonna
pray a little more.
Yeah, it's Friday. I'll get back, Tuesday. But when I get back, I'm gonna
drop an offering in the plate this time. I need to pay this one away.
Yeah, but it's because another thing that happens is once you proclaim it, now people are looking to poke holes in it, right?
Yeah.
So that's
why you just gotta be quiet about it.
Once you proclaim it,
you can't wear the Bible T-shirt all the time.
You tell people, you say, I love God. I am a Christian. I am trying to live my best life through worshiping and understanding not only my relationship with God up in heaven, but my relationship with my fellow man. See, every way that I feel in life is informed by the reality that there is a deity over us.
For sure.
And the reason why that is because I think that there is a higher power that made a dynamic system of life that
Absolutely.
we're all supposed to live. And in that is morality, fairness, and equality. If I didn't think that, if I didn't really sincerely believe that there was something higher than this, I don't think that I could be a good person, because if I thought that in X amount of time I was going to check out, and then after that there was eternal nothingness,
right,
and there was no one that I was going to have to answer for, I don't see how I wouldn't be a reckless hedonist.
Right.
Like to me, that's just what I would do. But now, when I'm concerned about, when I'm concerned about the treatment of our sisters, the treatment of black people, the treatment of indigenous people, the treatment. Well, I'm concerned about all of these things.
Yeah. I'm
concerned because I believe that these people are breaking the order of God.
For sure.
And that bothers me. So, and I say all that that preamble to say, with your atheist friends, your friends that don't believe in God, because anyone that has a belief in a higher power has some sort of compass most of the time. Sometimes they don't, but I have a lot of friends who are the most brilliant, amazing, beautiful, dope people that I know that actually have no sort of religious background. How do you deal with them? Do you you try it all to?
No, I don't force anything. I deal with them as human beings.
And my dad people back home get on me about that. They go like how can you?
But that's judgment. That's judgment to say how can you consort with these types of people, bro? I give them love. That's it. I sit down with them. We chat. We don't even talk about God.
Right.
You know what I mean? But eventually, if it comes up, I'll be happy to share. I remember Joyce Meyer. You know who Joyce Meyer is?
Yeah.
Joyce Meyer said her hairdresser for like 18 years, atheist. She said she just went in every week and just chopped it up with her like homegirls and just laughed and just maintained that relationship. And then one day the girl was finally like, I need help. I need to know what you know. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm not here to save everybody. Jesus already saved the world. You know,
right.
If you prescribe to that, if you are a Christian and you believe that word, Jesus already saved the world. I'm not Jesus Jr. I'm not Holy Ghost Jr.
Right.
So I don't have to save everybody. And you cannot answer a question that's not being asked. So somebody's like, I don't want what you want. You can't force it on them.
Right.
If you want to know, great, I'll tell you my story and what works for me. But I'm not here to change and force anybody to believe what I believe. I'm just here to spread love and to make sure that I'm doing my part in the humanity cycle. That's it.
You're a comedian.
I am.
Easy question. Who's the funniest man to ever walk the face of the planet?
Jesus. Yeah, I don't know. That's comedy is too subjective for there to be a goat. I hear these conversations all the time.
Why is there always a goat chosen then? if it's too
Think about
subjective,
this, Van. 'Cause we've had this conversation before about boxing.
Right. We'll talk about
In
that.
every
real quick,
category.
too. Yeah.
Right? There's only one category that me and my boy Jono have determined that there's one name that is always named as the GOAT, and that's martial arts. As soon as you say martial arts, Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee.
Every other category is debatable. Boxing.
Right.
Or maybe bodybuilding. We can give Schwarzenegger. He's
the man.
known as that guy, right?
Yeah, but you know what's funny? He's known as the most important bodybuilder of all time. If you ask these bodybuilders, it's just like it like.
But see, you can't ask the people who are participating.
Right.
They always go,
Right.
I'm sure Horace Grant thinks he's the greatest basketball player to ever.
You know what? By the way, the greatest basketball player, if you want to know who the greatest basketball player is, all you gotta do is ask an old black guy because he'll name somebody you've never heard of before. I know y'all heard about Michael Jordan.
But Earl the GOAT Manigault.
But I tell you, it's a dude that I went to high school with me, 1969, 70, 71. Jordan couldn't fucking touch him. And so, I mean, it's true. All you gotta do is ask an old black dude. What I'm saying is, comedy, it seems, and the reason why I love talking to comedians is because I'm just realizing, because I got more comedian friends than ever now, that it's that competitive. And so I just ask a broad question, who do you think the best ever? You say it's too subjective.
For me, Eddie Murphy.
For you, Eddie Murphy.
He's my favorite.
Right.
For some, it's Richard Pryor. And I know Eddie was influenced by Richard Pryor, but I was too young to be a fan of Richard. I didn't get exposed to his work first. I saw Eddie first.
Right.
And Eddie is just, characters and versatility. Like, for me, Eddie Murphy. But it's like Nas said in the song Ether, ain't no best.
Yeah.
He was talking about rap.
Yeah.
You go down the rap list, everybody has a different top 5, top 10. Everybody. I've never heard 2 individuals with the same top 5.
Right.
Never. Which tells me everybody has an opinion. It's all about each individual's opinion.
Right.
My favorite rapper is Rakim.
I love him.
Some think it's Jay-Z because I do the impression of him, but Jay-Z is a billionaire. So yeah, he's gone past most or all rappers.
I mean,
ever.
it's easy to say that Jay-Z is the most successful rapper of all time. Nobody
right,
even comes
just
close to
categories.
that. Yeah.
But to say who's the funniest and who's the greatest at this and that, like Kevin Hart clearly has surpassed all of us in the business model of comedy. But is he the GOAT? I wouldn't say. Eddie Murphy is still my GOAT.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't answer
Rakim,
that.
your favorite rapper of all time?
Yeah.
Do you know who I
Rakim
think?
and Nas.
You know who I think my favorite rapper of all time is?
Who that?
Jay Electronica. That's my favorite rapper
But
ever.
why? Because you're from Louisiana.
Not even so much because I'm from Louisiana. Because if I was going to create a rapper in terms of content, delivery, and even the finer points of what they put into their rhymes and the fact that they can just straight out spit and make great songs, that's who I would choose. That's the rapper I would create. Like, just, I think the rap makes you smarter, but it's still very relatable and interesting.
That's how I feel about Nas.
Yeah, it's true.
Because I mean, Rakim is Nas's favorite rapper too, so we share that, and that's why he's called God's son, because he's son of the God, Rakim. Right. But if I had to compose the favorite rapper who's like MC and just embodies that, to me it's Nas.
So I was at Dane's house one time, and
name drop.
For whatever static that Hove and Dame have had, I asked Dame, I was like, yo, what's the better song I take over in Ether? And Dame goes, not even close that it's Take Over. And recently, there's been, let me get the question out. Recently, there has been a lot more people saying and that Take Over is actually a better song than Ether. Now, be careful with this answer because you know this clip is going on Instagram. So, like, we're going to do God for 3 days.
I don't care where it goes.
We're going to do God for 3 days because we're going to get the purpose of this podcast out. But I want to know, since you're a Nas fan, do you think that Take Over was a better song than Ether?
No.
Is it close?
No. Well, here's the thing. It's a battle, right? Jay is no slouch.
No. That's an understatement. He's J fucking Z.
Jay is. They're both brilliant, right? So I always compared the battle between Jay and Nas to the battle between who's better between Magic and Jordan. two different styles.
Either way, you win the championship.
But it's completely different styles, right? Here's what was brilliant about Ether. Nas was not known as a battle rapper, right? And he was in his, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, I was sleeping. Y'all poked enough.
Nah, he was
that
cold.
I woke up.
Nas had not at that point. If you remember your history, Nas was cold in these streets. He was a little cold.
He was never cold.
He was cold. Though.
He wasn't as people.
I love Nas as much as anybody.
Here's the thing, Van.
Nas was cold, man.
But Van,
like, at that point,
Van,
I love, bro.
Hear me out.
I love Nas as much as anyone. That was.
Hear me out, though.
Okay.
As black people, as a black culture, we throw away our gems way too fast.
You're right.
The fact that Rolling Stones can still sell out arenas and stadiums, and yet Kool and the Gang got to get on a whole lineup with a bunch of other black artists to sell out a theater.
I get you.
Nas was not
Sounds
cold.
of the 70s. Coming to your...
Right.
right.
Nas wasn't cold. He just had some albums that black people didn't like, and it was like, oh, I'm on to the next person or whatever.
Yeah.
But he still was very relevant. Why else would Jay-Z, who was on the rise, poke at somebody like him? So here's
there was a different level of relevance because of that New York excuse me. There was a different level of
whatever
reverence.
You want to call it,
because of that New York shit.
If he was cold, Hov would have never went at him. So here's my point.
Yeah.
Ether was so well constructed as an entire song. Jay-Z was known for, when he was coming up in the streets, him and DMX run around battling Big L. They would run around freestyle against and battle rap and do all that. Nas wasn't known for that. Now, did he do it from time to time? Possibly. I don't know his story to that degree. But the Takeover was like a freestyle song. He hit Prodigy in the joint. He gave Nas a verse, and the verses was clever. It was like, all right, you had one hot album every 10-year really average.
Good. Yeah. Fucking destructive.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Ether.
Yeah.
Ether was so dope. Here's how I'm gonna shut you down, man.
I'm just posing the question.
No, listen.
Yeah.
Ether was so incredible. Jay-Z admitted defeat from Ether, and from that point on, every time somebody else lost a battle, we coined the phrase, you got Ether.
You got Ether. When do you feel like Jay-Z admitted to this nigga?
He admitted it in the remix to Ballin'. Ballin'! Brooklyn! Remember that?
I don't remember the line.
He took, and this when Jim Jones was beefing. So he took his song, and instead of Ballin', the hook was Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And he said in the verse, but I got stronger after Ether. Wow. It's like he was saying it himself.
Look. Oh, look. Oh, look. John's never heard your Jay impression.
He ain't never heard it.
Wait. Hey, man, I just fucked up John.
He ain't never heard the shit.
Look at John going crazy.
He ain't never heard the shit. But I like to spit all these words and shit. I'm on TMZ because I be in me. Everybody knows that Jay is Z.
See, look at John going crazy over there. You didn't know my man had that.
I just came to talk about God today.
Right. But yeah.
So in the verse, Jay is like, he says the line, and then Jay has this dope thing that he does where he reflects on the line he just said. I got stronger after Ether. Wow. Like I'm admitting that I lost the battle.
It just dawned on him.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? There was another sort of almost under the radar semi-admission that he might have felt like he lost. He says, I will not lose because even in defeat, there's a valuable lesson learned that even sure. For me. And so when
he didn't lose to the point of
Jay-Z is incapable of losing.
Facts.
He can only grow.
But as a man,
he can only he's
a billionaire.
Yeah, he doesn't lose. He can only grow.
And Nas is getting cake out here on investments.
Wait. When you're talking about you guys, if there was a blueprint for the way a battle is supposed to go, Nas and Jay-Z, they go at each other's necks hard for a 3-4 year period, whatever it was. Then they come together, squash this. Nas was like he's about 25, Asian in hip hop, beautifully, musically still viable, culturally a god. Hov is something different than we've ever seen. Both of these brothers have ridiculously amazing legacies. Yeah. No one lost.
Nobody lost.
Nobody lost.
You know, but in the context of the songs, again, back to your point.
Right.
Ether was so strong. Jay replied to Ether. You remember?
Dude, super ugly.
Super ugly. And everybody was like,
That's too much, dog. You went too far.
Nah, it wasn't as strong.
Yeah.
Ether, you got ethered.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know who's, you know, I'm sure, look, it's all subjective. Everybody has an opinion. There's some people that think Lil Wayne is the greatest. Wayne thinks he's the greatest.
Right.
I don't.
Right. He's up there. I mean, Wayne.
But he's accomplished.
Yeah.
But to say he's the best rapper to ever live,
Nah. I don't think he's the best rapper ever lived, but you know, I know while we in here on this podcast, I know you're gonna show respect to Louisiana though. I know.
Is that a threat? I mean, I'm from Fayetteville, North Carolina. J. Cole, what's up?
I fuck with J. Cole heavy.
Dreamville all day. Vietnam 2-6.
Last question about J. Cole. What's the best J. Cole album? Please say Forest Hill so we can agree on something. Just say Forest Hill so we can agree on something.
No, I did love Forest Hills.
Forest Hills was my shit.
I did love Forest Hills.
But
I love KOD too.
I like KOD.
I love KOD.
There was a song on Forest Hills that made me cry.
Which one?
There's a song on there. I can't remember the name of the songs because I can't remember the name of the song. So obviously there are a bunch of great songs, but there's a song where he's talking about his homeboy. Mm-hmm. And he's talking about how he grew up, and he's talking about the fact that his man stopped him from jumping out into the streets,
right.
because he says I looked at him and I laughed when he saw it was serious. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell you how many guys like that I've had in my life.
Me too.
I can't tell you
in Fayetteville.
I can't tell you how many guys. So I'm like everybody leaving. I go, shit, I'm coming too, and they go, you not coming where we coming, Van.
Yo,
this ain't for you,
bro.
And what happens to those guys, and I'm gonna try to keep it together, is they die,
yeah,
or they get put in jail, and then after a while, you start saying, yo, did this nigga with them tattoos on his neck and all that gold in his mouth, did he save my life?
Yeah. This happened to me 6 times in Fayetteville.
Talk about it.
I remember I used to ride to school with my cousin
and
my little sister. And we ride to school and from school. One day we're driving through the neighborhood. We see a line of I'm not bullshitting, 40 cars. And they're coming through the neighborhood in a line. And I'm seeing all my friends from school. And we're looking like, where the fuck are they going? They were about to go to war with another neighborhood. In Fayetteville, it's neighborhoods and high schools that are war. It's not. They may have the gang thing now. I'm not there, so I don't know.
Baton Rouge, it was Glen Oaks versus
It's neighborhoods and high schools
versus Bottom and Gardea versus Easy Town and all that stuff.
Yeah. So they was about to go to war up in the shopping center parking lot against another neighborhood, and they all were strapped. Everybody was strapped. And I was like, why didn't they tell us about this? Or they kept that. It was like the underground communication went around, and that was just one time. And another time, one of the cats was on the block, and he saw me dancing or whatever, and then they was about to leave. And I was like, where y'all going? He's like, don't worry about where the fuck we going. He said, just keep doing that dancing shit. Go to the crib, man. Enjoy your family.
Word.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that used to happen to me all the time. Because I tried to think I wanted to be in that life, but it's like, nah, the dudes was...
And you talk about God, that's God.
All day.
That's God right there working in your life. That's God. Man, angels don't always look the same way.
Goes back to my original point, which is why we can't look at the suit and the standard that church presents and to the point where you're judging yourself by it. You've already been saved by these angels with tattoos on their face who are straight killers, but they were angels at the time for you. So how dare you judge yourself by the church who looks a certain way and who acts a certain way and who you feel has the anointing on them?
Right.
How dare you do that to yourself? Don't do it.
Last question. We can do a couple offshoots, but I'm not going to hold you too much. This was a fantastic podcast. Is boxing back? Because we see each other also at fights. Like you go to a fight. Like one day I actually told Sam and Brandon, I was like, I told the Watsons, I said,
shout out to the Watsons, man. That's the fam.
Let me tell you something about the Watsons. You guys know who they are because if you watch the fights, you
see their faces.
You see their faces
everywhere.
You see them talking in the fighters' ears. You see them getting ready. I know y'all think that my brothers are twins. They are not twins. They are.
People used to think that I was them. They'd be like, "Hey, are you at this fight?" Like when they would see Marcus,
Marcus and Brandon in there. Like,
yeah, they were like, "Yo, or are these dudes related to you?"
All right.
Yeah.
They're amazing people. The nicest people that you will ever meet.
Ever.
Always keep you at the fight. I did tell Brandon one time. I said, "Yo, next fight, I want them Affion seats though." Cause they always hook me up. By the way, this is not like they always hook me up. I'm always good. I always got a great view.
Right.
But
right.
it's a pecking order because Affion can smell the sweat. You right there ringside at these joints.
They look out for me.
They do. Is boxing back though?
I don't feel like boxing ever left, but I will say there's
a lot of people feel like it did.
I know, but again, going back to how you said Nas was cold, it's like people so fickle. They so quick to want to jump on the next thing.
Right.
So when MMA became really big, everybody's like, "Oh, MMA is taking over," and I feel like, well, there's room for both. I'm a martial artist too. I love MMA, but I also grew up on boxing.
Right.
I love boxing. I think divisions have shifted. Back in the day, I think Mike Tyson is my favorite heavyweight. Back in the day, when we had Mike Tyson, we had Evander Holyfield, we had George Foreman come back, we had Shannon Briggs. We had different heavyweights that made it exciting. Rick Bowe, Lennox Lewis.
You had secondary guys like you could watch Razor Ruddock or Frank Bruno or any of those guys and be.
But it was going to give you an exciting fight.
It was going to give you an exciting fight. Those weren't the best heavyweights, but they were good heavyweights to watch.
The heavyweight division is making its way back. There's a lot of excitement now. You know what I mean?
It's getting deep too, dog.
It's getting deep.
Yeah.
Tyson Fury is cleaning up his mental, and he's showing people like, yeah, I'm tall, I'm awkward, but I got technique.
Yeah, he can fight.
I'm actually throwing combos out here and parrying. I'm doing all kind of shit.
Yeah, he can fight.
Deontay Wilder. You know what I mean? He's not as polished as most boxers, but he's a brawler. Yeah. He's proven.
Best right hand I ever saw.
He's proven, and he's got a chin. He's taken some real lumps, and he stayed on his feet.
Right.
Against some legit guys. So Anthony Joshua, people was always asking me who between Joshua and Wilder, and I always said, well, Joshua doesn't really have a chin, and he doesn't have as much stamina, and we saw
gasses every
gasses
fight.
Out around round 5-6.
Yeah,
he's gassed.
Right.
And then he just got knocked out.
Yeah.
He quit.
Yeah, he quit.
So I knew.
I think Joshua too diesel, bro. He there are heavyweights that he doesn't. There have been big heavyweights and guys who are huge, but he looks blocky. He is huge. He needs to lose a little weight.
Yeah, he's big.
He needs to lose a little weight. I mean, that sounds right for a guy whose body fat is probably around 5 or 6%. But I think he would be a better fighter at about 240 or 235. Just from a stamina perspective. You know what I'm saying?
No, for sure. And he may need more conditioning and
all of that
strength, all of that.
So you're saying right now you like what's going on in boxing, but you don't ever feel like boxing.
Nah, I don't think it ever. I mean, because again, when the heavyweights kind of faded out, then it went down to the lighter weighted guys. That's where we have the Mayweathers, the Pacquiao, the Cotto. Like it's a shitload of those boxers that carried it in the lighter weights. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it went anywhere.
Who's the best fighter in the world?
Ain't no best.
Man, that's the name of the podcast, by the way. The name of the podcast, I'll tell you why the name of this podcast is Ain't No Best. Because that's been the theme. Ain't no best way to be a Christian. Ooh, ain't no best way to worship God.
Ain't no best.
Ain't no best way to... Ain't no best.
Ain't no best.
Ain't no best. That's actually, you know what? The concept that there is a best is really ruining a lot of people.
It's erroneous. It gives you a false aspiration to try to reach. Because even the best, even the ones that reach the pinnacle, eventually start to fall. And some of them can't handle it. So if they didn't give themselves that competitive, I'm going to be the number one. As soon as you get to number 2,
right,
you don't know what the fuck to do. You remember like a week or two ago, I think Khaled got on his story or whatever and said something about,
he wanted to debut at number 1.
He wanted to debut at number 1. So it's like, it fucked with him. As much as he projects the positivity and that's real, right?
Nice guy.
No, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
But that can fuck with you. as opposed to just saying, look, I want to put out great work. I want to be a great person.
Or maybe even being happy for Tyler.
Let's just be.
Or maybe
that part.
I mean, maybe even like Tyler put out a fantastic, phenomenal album. Kid been working hard for a very long time.
He's been spitting for a long time. He's a good MC.
Good MC, very creative dude. Maybe even it's the only thing I would say. I know it's not about you, but maybe be happy for Tyler too, man, because it's a big moment for this kid, young kid, like about to embark on the next chapter of his music.
I've seen The Rock do that. Like whenever he had a movie, one time he had a movie that tanked, and he was like, "Man, but salute the movie that kicked my ass."
Right.
You know what I mean? I'll be back on the next one. I'm still having I'm having fun. I'm living life. It's like we have to be the best we can be, but as far as who's the best in the world, ain't no best.
Ain't no best. Give it up, white people. For Affion Crockett. All right.
2 white people.
2 white people. Listen, we used to have 3 white people.
Okay.
And then what happens is we start off with more, and then people gotta go do stuff because it's a work day at TMZ.
I mean, this is TMZ.
It is TMZ. I'm just for John's sake, this is not even gonna go in the podcast. Just give him one more of one of your best impressions, if you don't mind, just for John, because he's never heard you before. John, you guess who he's doing. This is not going on anything because it's not about this man doing this. I'm not.
Come on, man. Okay, John. Okay, fuck out of here, man. Okay, TMZ. TMZ. What the fuck is TMZ, man? What the fuck is TMZ, man? Okay. I know what TMI is. Fuck out of here, man. Okay. Fuck out.
Hey, that's crazy.